Real?
Yes.
Yeah, we're not talking about where we are.
Absolutely not.
Right, of course.
But welcome to another episode of the After Midnight podcast. And yeah, so I saw Jacko for some reason.
That's how you open?
Jacko is a terrible, terrible horror movie, which I saw Friday night for some reason that I don't know.
Important to note that the other option for a midnight screening that same night was John Carpenter's The Fog,
Which is a great film.
which is a great film. And you came in and I was like, oh, you're going to see The Fog, right? And you were like, no, I'm going to go see Jacko. And I was like, why would you do that?
Well, to be fair, The Fog was on DCP. Jacko was on DCP. I've seen The Fog on DCP and film
Okay, fair enough.
and Blu-ray and all of the... I've seen The Fog a lot,
Yeah.
but I haven't seen Jacko.
You haven't seen Jacko.
Man, that's like saying that's like being at a restaurant and getting offered like a nice rare steak and saying like, no, I'm very sorry, I've had steak before. Instead, I'm gonna choose to eat shit.
Not even like Burger King or Wendy's,
No.
just literally shit.
It's like, to be fair, the steak was overdone, and so was the shit. But I've had overdone steak before. I've never had overdone shit before.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Jacko before, so I honestly
You can't really comment on
did
it.
they play it with a commentary?
No, they played it as a normal film.
Because I've heard Jacko has one of the greatest commentaries ever made.
I used to do stand-up with Jacko. That guy was an asshole. I can tell you for a fact.
Do you know about this? The commentary for Jacko?
No.
So it's like the producer and the director talking, and you can tell that like they don't like each other. And throughout the commentary, they just start taking like pot shots at each other over how bad the movie is.
It's bad.
And eventually, the director gets so fed up that he just gets up and leaves.
Wow.
Like on mic, he just gets up and leaves. Or maybe it was the producer. One of them gets up and leaves, and the other one just like is stuck alone trying to finish the commentary.
Yeah.
And then the other person comes back, and they're like, "You're back," and they're like, "Yes." This movie sucks, but I can't leave you alone. We got to finish it together.
That's amazing. No, it's a Fred Olen Ray movie. Notorious schlockman Fred Olen Ray. Google him, kids. But Jacko is weird. For those who don't know, it's like a Halloween slasher vibe movie because there's a guy who's like a scarecrow with a pumpkin head who's killing people. And
Isn't Linnea Quigley in it?
Linnea Quigley's in it playing
Okay.
a babysitter, even though she's probably pushing 40 at that time. But, like, you know, babysitters can be, like, in their middle age, too, I guess. It's just not typical, at least in film.
Well,
Don't put women in boxes.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm still learning.
Linnea Quigley, she has that.
She's a
like,
class act, though. She's good, yeah.
Yeah, she's like Keanu Reeves, where she always looks like she's like 30.
Maybe. I don't know if that's what I take away from Linnea Quigley's career. But Jacko's really weird because it feels almost like a kiddie horror film. Like, not kiddie, but, you know, like something like The Gate or Monster Squad. But then there is literally a gratuitous shower scene of Linnea Quigley. That's how we introduced her character. I literally thought that was going to be her only performance in the
That's
film.
exactly what The Gate needed.
No, but it's a hard cut from, like, children, like, adventure in the woods to, like, nudity and just lingering on it. And
Well,
then
you know what they would do in like the 90s and the 2000s, if the producer saw that the film was like very tame and like too PG, they would actually request that more gore or sex and stuff be added to get an R rating, because there was actually a fear back then that if your horror movie was PG, nobody would see it because it was PG.
Yeah, I mean, Jacko's like mid-90s, but that's the thing. Like, it's got like this kid as a main character and sort of like a you know, gateway horror kind of thing, but then like hardcore nudity and then sometimes hardcore gore. So it's like this weird intersection. But the movie's like not very good. It has some.
Well, you know, there's like 10 solid minutes of butt fucking that was cut from Monster Squad, right?
Oh yeah, but that was released in the Italian version, correct?
Right.
Yes,
Il Monstro Squadro.
Yes.
The title was Mondo Squad.
Mondo Monster. No, yeah.
Mondo Squad.
So it's a really weird film. It's a movie that only Jay Bauman could love because it's just like that's just the vibe it is. But yeah, The Fog's better. The Fog's great.
Oh, really? Wow. I didn't know it was better.
The Fog is great. The Fog is like a wonderful film. But I've seen it.
Yeah.
So that's my mistake. I'm sorry.
mean, I do want to see Jacko, but I want to see it like just with the commentary. Like, it's one of the only films I want to watch with the commentary turned on the first time.
As a survivor of Jacko, I feel you really need to see it.
Well, you know,
Playing
famously, the only two movies in the world where the definitive cut is the commentary track is Jacko and See You Next Weekend. Those are
I watched See You Next Weekend without the commentary track.
Oh, you gotta watch the director's cut. That's the movie with the commentary track.
What?
That's the best cut of that movie.
Since when is a director's cut just with an alternate commentary? Like, that's...
Since I decided.
You're a pioneer, Ethan.
And then I also saw Scream at the Somerville on Saturday night.
They played it?
Yeah.
On 35.
Hell yeah.
A really good looking print, and that was a packed midnight. It was the first time a Somerville midnight had been packed, and the fellow who is the runner or programmer of the Somerville looked very happy.
That's good.
I got a free sody pop
Nice.
and Junior Mints because he was like, "Hey, we're doing good tonight. You can have this for free, kid. You're at all the other boys."
Wow, Frank Henenlotter is running the Somerville now.
Yeah, no, Frank Henenlotter, yeah, he bought it. Yeah, he's doing his thing.
Did the audience boo Harvey Weinstein?
Yes, we all booed. we all booed Harvey. It was a very varied crowd, but a lot of Zoomer girls. There was a lot of like college freshman kids, I feel. And I think it was the first time watching Scream for a lot of people, which was cool because Scream is a great first time watch. I fell in love with Scream the first time I watched it.
Oh, me too.
And I still love it. I know a lot of people hate it, and I don't really get that.
There was a big backlash to it in the 2000s. I think it was like some like a certain subsect of like millennial like horror journalists and horror fans were like kind of had a backlash to it. I think because of like I think people like started referring to like the Kevin Williamson dialogue as being like a worse version of Joss Whedon, kind of. But I think I don't know. I think time's been pretty good to that movie.
No, yeah, I think it still holds up really well, and it never hits the same way. Like the first time I saw it, hit so strong, so it never hits quite the same way. But you do pick up on like other little details, and the characters are really charming. It's fun to go back to that world.
Oh yeah.
So I think Scream's a really good October film. It's California October film.
Oh yeah.
Dunkin' Donuts in the police station. They got Dunkin' Donuts bags in California. Come on.
It went all the way to the West Coast.
All
the way.
It couldn't.
Did they have it like specially shipped in, like from Massachusetts?
Ooh. A little fun fact. Do you remember specifically the waxy paper, the white waxy paper?
Oh,
Dunkin'
yeah,
Donuts?
yeah.
Do you remember that shit?
Yeah.
Which I always thought if I ever shot a movie that takes place on the West Coast, I would always want to go even further with that gag and go even more specific regional New England. I'd put in a gag where it's like for some reason they have a fucking Mary Lou's coffee.
Nice.
Like
Or just
only
throw-
South Shore boys
throw
would
in,
understand
like,
it.
A
But
Kelly's roast beef on Malibu Beach.
someone's wearing there's like a menu for like a Bugaboo Creek in the background.
Bugaboo Creek was so awesome.
Bugaboo Creek was great.
John, did you ever get out to Bugaboo Creek when you were like 3?
Where the fuck was Bugaboo Creek?
Bugaboo Creek, for those who don't know, for those who didn't grow up in the South Shore during the late Clinton, early Bush years.
So we're talking 98 to 2002?
Yeah, 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
I don't think it survived Bush's first term.
No,
I don't think.
no.
But Bugaboo Creek was basically, it was a South Shore...
He invaded it along with the invasion of Iraq.
No, it was a
He thought the
precursor.
Saddam hole was there.
He heard that there was a talking moose. He was like, that shit's gotta go.
But it was basically the calling it a chain is generous because I think there was like 2 locations.
I think
maybe.
the one I went to was not down south. I think the one I went to was like on Route 1.
Oh, okay.
I was probably 6 or 5, so like, don't trust me.
Yeah.
I remember the talking moose more so.
Oh yeah, mine had a talking moose as well. I went to the one, the true Bugaboo, the original South Shore Bugaboo in Cohasset.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, I was in Cohasset.
You still haven't explained what Bugaboo Creek is.
So it is Bugaboo Creek.
Bugaboo Creek.
Bugaboo Creek. Bugaboo Creek, I think, is a character in Forrest Gump, but Bugaboo Creek.
Is he a racist character in Forrest Gump?
We don't talk about him for a reason.
They cut him
That
out.
was the character Rod Steiger played in Heat of the Night, right?
I'm Sheriff Bubba Boo Creek.
This here's Sheriff Bubba Boo Creek. And I've been sheriff of this here town for quite a while. We don't like strangers here, Bugaboo Creek.
Oh, dude, I can't wait for Bubba Boo Creek to get a reboot. Oh, man, I'm waiting. But yeah, we gotta explain to John and the audience.
It was basically Rainforest Cafe for like woodland New England.
Yes.
It had like a talking moose head. It had a buffalo head that would like sing every now and then.
Oh, yes, the Buffalo of New England.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, they're famous for that. As I remember, the waiters would all like kind of dress like park rangers. At least in the one in Cohasset they did. I don't know if the
I
one
was so
near
young,
you
and
did.
I think I only went one, maybe 2 times.
Okay,
Left an
yeah.
impression on me. But I think it closed before like we could go a few more times. Sadly.
Oh, yeah.
And I was probably upset about it as a child. But yeah, no, Rainforest Cafe, sort of like a regional New England version of it. It had a lot of
But
like,
if it was specifically like woodland themed.
yeah, it
instead
had
of-
it was sort of like Rainforest Cafe if it was just Maine.
Yeah.
It had a very Maine.
Like imagine if
vibe.
the Boy Scouts took over a Rainforest Cafe
Yeah.
through siege warfare, and that's Bugaboo Creek.
None of these are good pitches.
It's the greatest restaurant of all time.
No, it was a blast.
Terrific hot dogs there. Some of the best glizzies I've ever had.
So what kind of stuff did they sell? Like, what kind of food did they have?
Oh, it was just normal chain restaurant shit. It's
Yeah.
they had a kids menu that had like hot dogs and like
Okay.
French fries and shit like that. You could get like a steak.
I wish it survived because they probably had like a themed menu for adults.
Oh, they definitely
Yeah.
did. Yeah. I wasn't able to graduate to the adult
It
menu.
didn't last
You know.
long enough, which is a goddamn shame. But yeah, no, the talking moose was adorable. It was a lot of fun as a kid.
Yeah.
Nothing but good memories on my part, even though I was maybe 5 and we went once. But hey, I remembered it all these years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They should make a horror movie that's set in Bugaboo Creek.
Oh yeah, because we have to do every animatronic.
Every hack Five Nights at Freddy's rip off.
Every
like,
entertainment place that had animatronics needs to have a horror film now.
Yeah.
To satisfy the elder millennial fucking nostalgia boners.
That's like when like that idea is completely bankrupt. That's when you can go to Bugaboo Creek, where it's just like, okay, only like younger millennials who grew up in the South Shore will remember this.
Yeah,
Like,
that's when you get into regional horror, and that's lowbrow stuff.
Yeah, when Arrow does their American Horror like Volume 20 box set in like 2045, the Bugaboo Creek thing will be. I can't say Bugaboo. The Bugaboo Creek horror film will be on there.
No, but also I got it to the big boy in the room, Rainforest Cafe. I fucking loved Rainforest Cafe.
oh, great restaurant. One of the best. 5-star.
I fucking hate fucking like snobs who stick their nose up at Rainforest Cafe. Rainforest Cafe was a fun ass time.
That's great, yeah.
It was a great time. The food was decent. It was pretty good. The shrimp it had like that candy shrimp. Or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah,
That was
the
the
candy
best
shrimp.
thing
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
That was delicious. It was delicious, John. And the greatest thing about Rainforest Cafe was the smell. It was like a mix of air conditioning and then rubber animatronics, like the moisture.
The most beautiful smell in the world.
Oh my god! It was like a mix of that moisture and cold air, and it was just like, this is the jungle.
I mostly remember Bugaboo Creek smelling like cigarettes because they
Well, it is
they
the-
had a smoking section
I
at the
think
time.
I vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
Actually, even in the one that I went to, like as a child, I vaguely remember like it smelling like fucking cigarettes or.
Oh
smoke.
yeah, and I remember my dad we'd go as a family because it's Bugaboo Creek.
Yeah.
Though grown man was going there alone, but my dad would always demand to be seated at the smoking section because he'd be like, I want to smoke a cigarette while I have my steak and my beer,
And
like
watch
with
moose.
my family, like
And watch a moose sing campfire songs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. I think nostalgia bringing back all this embarrassing shit. It needs to bring back themed restaurants full of animatronics.
Yeah.
Like
that are like highly region specific specifically.
Yes,
I
no,
think.
because
Yeah.
like the fact that we've lost that is a real, I
Oh,
think,
yeah.
loss to the country and our culture.
Oh,
That
yeah.
we have grown out of that disgusts me.
Which you got to understand, 9/11 just happened.
Oh no, you know what's gonna happen? Instead of a Five Nights at Freddy's horror thing, it's gonna go through the more embarrassing route. We're gonna get a Last Action Park documentary about the rise and fall of Bugaboo Creek, and maybe the themed
I
restaurant
mean,
in
you
general.
could still do that like, who else in New England is going to do that documentary? You have a
That's true.
sell the pitch to HBO Max.
Dude, the wound is very open. I don't think I could ever touch that.
That's how you close it, man. You go through it.
It's why there's an air of sadness anytime any like South Shore New England boy, is reminded of Bugaboo Creek. You know, it's like it's still fresh.
No, yeah.
You know,
it's
You get flashbacks.
yeah.
No.
I remember the moose, and I think of how I will never see the moose again or hear his dulcet tones.
I don't like how
You're
kinda-
acting like this is the deer hunter or something. Like your friend got fucking shot.
I mean, John,
In a
basically,
way, he did.
and a memory was killed. That's almost worse than losing a friend, right?
What?
Oh yeah, no, Bugaboo Creek. That was dope. You know, there's a dinosaur version of Rainforest Cafe.
Oh right, yeah.
There's only 2 in the world.
They're still around.
I don't know.
Oh man.
I hope they are. There's one in Kansas City,
Okay.
and there's one in Orlando, Florida. I don't remember
Okay.
which.
Of course.
For a second, I thought you were gonna say something random, like it's like, yeah, it's weirdly the second one's in Universal Tokyo for some
Yeah.
reason.
No, that last I heard, which was maybe 7 years ago,
Yeah.
they were still open. I think the T-Rex in Florida, I think that's at Disney. Maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's right up my alley, baby.
Oh hell yeah.
Oh my God, going to a restaurant with dinosaur animatronics.
Oh my god. They have like I bet the menu has all these like hack dinosaur theme names for them. Like
Hadrosaur hash. No, that's like my dream right there.
Stegosaurus.
Ooh, Bronto Burger, that's a classic.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Flintstones, Bronto
Yeah.
Burger. Tyrannosaur teriyaki. Well, that's my Scream's great, by the way. It's a great film. It still holds up. I when I walked out of the theater, I heard some maybe Zoomer girls, maybe at my age, I don't know. But she said to her friend, "That's like my new favorite horror film,"
Yeah.
and I love that. That's what I missed about going to the
Yeah.
movies, is hearing that stuff. And Ian, the Somerville guy, gave a nice little speech at the beginning of it. He was like, "There's gonna be when you come to the movies, a little town emerges in the audience. You're all a little town for 2 hours, and then the town disappears." It was like he was putting on his ballyhoo showman,
yeah.
but there was heart there. as
No,
well.
of course. Yeah.
So yeah, 2 Midnights, 1 very terrible, 1 an old like
Fucking Scream. Yeah.
like
it's
seeing
a-
an old friend. Scream
Yeah.
is like going back to an old friend.
It's an insanely cozy movie, honestly.
Yeah.
It's also probably the only good movie Kevin Williamson ever wrote.
What
I
else
wanna
did
say
he even?
Faculty, man.
Oh right,
Dude,
no,
Faculty's
Faculty's
good.
great. Faculty's really good.
Faculty is a pretty damn good movie. Yeah.
Yeah, because
It has the unforgettable character of Zeke.
which one is Zeke?
Who is literally like, he is one of the most mind-boggling characters. Like the first
Is
time
it the Josh Hartnett character?
Or Elijah Wood.
No, Elijah Wood. No, Zeke is the drug dealer.
Oh right, yeah.
No, after me and my friends watched it for the first time, we were like losing it over how much of Zeke is like this fantasy like high school character who's like, he's like the coolest kid in school. He
Yeah.
gets straight A's. He's like the greatest drug dealer in the school, and it's like this person does not exist in real life.
Yeah. I don't remember the Faculty too well, but I saw it at the Coolidge when they did all the Alien movies, and it was a
Yeah.
good print,
Yeah.
and it was a good movie. I don't know what else.
H2O.
Oh, he wrote H2O. I really don't like actually.
I think
Yeah.
he wrote on like the other Scream movies to a certain
No, I
capacity.
think he wrote all of
wrote-
them except for the most recent one.
Oh.
He wrote Scream 2. They brought him back for Screform. He did not write Scream 3. That was Aaron Kruger, a much worse screenwriter.
No, but Scream 3.
which is saying quite a bit, honestly.
Scream 3, I think he wrote a draft, but they couldn't do it for some reason. 'Cause
Right.
They were going to bring Stu back with like a burnt up face, I believe.
Right, that was it.
Which
Yeah,
would have
yeah.
been a much better movie.
That would have been kind of sick.
That would have
Yeah.
been pretty dope. To get Stu back would be.
Yeah,
more
you get to see Lillard like yucking it up again.
Yeah, do that in Scream 7. Get a CGI.
Oh, yeah.
Lillard, yeah.
I get why the first Scream is like resonated with Zoomers so much, because I feel like the reason why it kind of died down in popularity and like as of recent is because like that film is kind of steeped in like 90s irony
Oh yeah.
in a way that like I think really worked for the time, but as you got into like the late 2000s 2010s,
Yeah.
like the fucking birth movies death crowd, like they weren't as big on Scream as other people. I think like for millennials it wasn't as big as like it is for Gen Xers,
Yeah.
And I thought it was just going to be like that Gen X movie of like, they kind of were the only generation who owned it. But like,
kind of like the Goonies, sort of. Yeah.
Yeah, but then like Irony made a huge comeback, and I guess the Zoomers love it.
Yeah.
Because
I don't know.
No, that makes perfect sense that they dig that movie.
I think you're overthinking it. I think people have always loved Scream.
it's always been good, but I think like it's not gotten the fanfare.
Yeah, I think the Scream 5 being such a big hit also helps.
Yeah.
Just
Yes.
getting it back. But
And I think like teenagers specifically have always loved Scream.
yeah, I
Like,
saw it
yeah.
I saw it like in 2012. I think it was
Oh,
like
yeah.
my senior year of high school, probably.
Oh,
Watched
same
it on-
here, yeah.
Watched it on the old Netflix when they had like real movies.
Yeah, exactly.
No, and I've rewatched Scream 4 or Scream 4.
Scriform.
Which is really interesting because it is the most 2011 movie in existence.
Oh, it totally is.
It deserves to be rewatched just to go back to 2011.
It's Scriform's an interesting one because
It's almost great.
it's almost great. I think it would have had a perfect ending. I would have forgiven a lot about that movie if it ended like 5 minutes earlier than it did.
Okay.
When she's being carted away on the stretcher
Yeah.
at the end of that movie, and like the news crew are like taking photos of her, and she's like
Yeah.
clearly fucking like having the time of her life.
Yeah.
Cut to credits, way better ending.
The hospital sequence is a little.
Yeah, it
It's-
lets the air out of
It
it.
lets the air out of it. It's not super well constructed. and
No.
it is like overly long. It's like the ending kind of feels like it happened. But the thing I really like about Scriform over the new one, I did like the new one, but Sidney Prescott is still the main character of Scream 4.
Yeah.
Whereas in this new one, have you seen the new one?
I did not know.
Okay,
I
the new
not.
No.
wow, God, but the new one,
I got it on request in the library. It's coming in.
Okay, but the new one, like, Scream 4 was still Sidney Prescott's movie.
Yeah.
It had younger characters too, and they bounced back and forth. But this new one, she is really just like almost like a Star Wars sequel cameo, where she comes in to fulfill roles in the third act. But
Oh,
it's
okay.
totally not her film. And
Oh,
Courtney
okay.
Cox is like kind of there, and it's just like the Scream 4.
So it's kind of like Jamie Lee Curtis in that really crappy, was it Halloween Kills? Is that the really crappy sequel to the?
No,
Gordon
Jamie Lee
Green one?
Curtis is in Halloween Kills more than Sidney Prescott.
Oh, wow.
More than
Really?
Nev Campbell is in the
Does
new
she at
Scream.
least do shit on like Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween Kills? 'Cause-
I mean, I found it bad because it really felt like the characters were just like shoehorned in, and they didn't have like much to any focus. Also, big difference in just how the movies look. Scream 4, if you're watching back to back, Scream 4, like Sidney Prescott's like normal and like wearing like dresses, and like she's just like a professional lady.
yeah.
And
A girl boss, if you will.
yeah, I guess. But so I don't know if this is just the times changing or Halloween 2018 affecting it. But like Courtney Cox and Nev Campbell both are like, they both wear like army boots and are like, and both have like jeans, and like they look like they're ready to like kill and fight.
Yeah.
So they look like these like warrior women, like, you know, like who were in the military, and it's just like such a difference. It's like this character, it's just not the same.
Is it like at least like kind of doing like in true Scream fashion? Is it at least like kind of taking the piss out of like a Halloween 2018 type legacy
in
slasher
some ways,
sequel?
In some
okay,
ways. No,
well, that's
no.
good.
I think everything with the young cast is like actually pretty effective.
Okay,
it's
yeah.
just balancing.
Because I did not like the young cast of Scriform very much. I remember.
Yeah. I mean, I love Hayden Panettiere in it.
Oh, she's good in it.
She's very fun.
The Culkin
Kirby-
brother is kind of.
He's fun. Yeah, I
He's
don't know
having a
if
good
I'd-
time.
I don't know if I'd say I didn't like the kids in Scream 4. Like, there's
Yeah,
some
fair
forgettable
enough.
ones.
Yeah,
I like the cops in Scream 4.
Yeah.
They're fun.
I think all the boys except for Rory Culkin are like. That movie suffers from a bad case of BBS,
the
boring
guys
boy
are
syndrome.
boring. Yes,
yeah.
because the red herring is extremely boring and undeveloped.
Oh yeah,
And
he's
the other guy who always has the like even dated for 2011.
oh the
camera.
fucking Google Glass
Yeah,
guy.
the fucking,
Yeah,
like webcam in his ear, which looks like it's from '05, and
Yeah.
Wes Craven was like, "Hey, technology, throw it on his face." But
I just heard what a vlog is and I shit my pants.
yeah, no, like that that guy's he's okay, but like,
He's whatever. Yeah.
but no, I thought the kids were pretty natural in the new one, and it
Oh,
definitely
yeah,
brings
that's good.
back the violence a little bit effectively.
Oh, that's good.
And
Yeah.
there's a lot in the new Scream, which should just be called Scream 5. 'cause
Yeah.
then they
5
could've-
cream.
Yes, they could have done the Roman numeral with the V and make that a knife.
Yeah.
The fact they didn't
5
do that,
cream or nothing. Go all the way.
Yeah, 5 cream or nothing is a different product. But that's but yeah, no, the violence. It's a good movie, but you know, it's just
Yeah.
like it's like that thing with these franchises. Like it's just like they're so dragged out, and like
Yeah.
it just the original characters are just kind of like there as props.
Oh yeah. And aren't they like they're kind of pulled a Halloween 2018 where like aren't they just making a sequel to that one as well?
I heard,
like,
yeah, Scream felt like it was going to be a like every 10 years thing, but I think now it's just going to be a new franchise.
Okay.
Just to pump some money out of it.
Because I remember thinking that was like really lame. I feel like there's been a bit of a backlash to Halloween 2018, but like I still think that movie's quite good. But I remember thinking
really,
I kind of like it. I kind of like it.
I kind of hate it.
I don't like. I'm in the camp of like I vastly prefer the Rob Zombie Halloween movies to that one.
I prefer. I haven't seen Halloween 2.
Well, more specifically, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2,
Yeah.
which I think is like a masterpiece.
I haven't seen 2, but I like the first. I like the first half of the first one.
First half of the first one is great. I think when it becomes a remake of Halloween is when it kind of falls apart.
Yeah.
But Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 is like it's his best movie.
Okay, well,
it's so good.
Everybody hates Halloween 2, so of course you love it.
Oh, I think it's fantastic.
No,
it's Fire Walk with Me. It's great.
Rob Zombie.
There's been a huge reappraisal of Halloween too.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yeah.
No, I Halloween, Rob Zombie's Halloween, like as just like a child killer movie. I think it's pretty
so
good, and just like I like how all the stuff in the asylum with the kid is great because like they're like losing him.
Yeah.
Like they're losing him and they can't get him. And if the movie was like honestly just the kid in that hospital,
oh my god,
that would have been like actually a really powerful horror film, I think.
Oh, totally.
But I hate Halloween 2018 for just how it treats Laurie Strode's character as just like this person consumed by fear and for 40 years it's just like
we turned her into Sarah Connor, which like I get it, but
and everyone's like, oh, she's a badass, but no, she's actually like a very weak person because she was unable to like move past this, and it's destroyed all of her relationships.
Yeah, exactly.
So like it's kind of a disservice. Like H2O gets it more right, where like she moved on.
Yeah.
But when Halloween comes around, the trauma comes back, and that's a lot more human in my opinion.
Oh no, absolutely, yeah. Like I think I don't know, Halloween 2018 is weird, where I'm like I think that's like it's a lame, obvious premise for a legacy Halloween sequel, but like. I think it's like a pretty decent execution of a pretty lame premise. I thought when they announced that they were doing like sequels to that, I'm like, okay, well that's fucking lame.
Yeah.
Like, and especially because I feel like they keep like advertising both the sequels as being like, finally the last confrontation between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. I'm like, wasn't that the last fucking movie?
Well, they can't keep doing it because I mean, freaking Jamie Lee Curtis is like 87 years old. Like, they can't keep going. But you know what? Mm-hmm. John, what have you seen? Let's stop talking about what we've seen.
What have I seen recently?
And what restaurants we went to when we were 7 or 6. Please tell us about what you've seen.
So last night I did a horror marathon of animal attack movies. I like to do a horror-thon every year just at home. And 2020, it started in quarantine because when COVID hit, I kind of missed the Halloween marathons I would go to yearly at theaters, so I did one at home. 2020 was zombies. 2021 was space aliens. And 2022 is animals attack.
And we both have a big shared passion for Jaws ripoffs.
Yes.
Both love Jaws, but Jaws ripoffs are a genre unto themselves.
Oh yeah. It wasn't just Jaws ripoffs though.
Yes,
it was like the broad range because I usually do like 5 to 6, 8 movies. So this year was Deadly Eyes, aka The Rats, Wild Beasts,
which is a great film.
Dude, I got to loop back around to that.
Wild Beasts. Have you seen Wild Beasts?
John was telling me about it earlier. It sounds incredible.
Wild Beasts. I mean,
so after after Wild Beasts was Jaws 5: Cruel Jaws,
the best Jaws sequel.
Yes.
Then Zat, aka Bloodwaters of Dr. Z.
Yes.
And then there was Alligator with Robert Forster.
Great movie.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
After that, there was what was after Alligator?
That's when that's when the marathon started to melt his brain.
Yeah, it started to melt my brain after that point.
Was Phase 4 after that, or?
Phase 4 is fucking great.
Phase 4 is spectacular.
I believe. Yeah, Phase 4 was after Alligator. Then there was The Bees with
John Carradine.
John Saxon, John Carradine.
Okay, yeah.
And then I didn't get to this, but it was just kind of like for the last spot in the marathon in case I was awake. The Rats Are Coming, the Werewolves Are Here.
Yeah. No, that's. Did you watch that just all by yourself?
I ended up, yeah.
Oh my god.
Which is fine, because, like,
That's
usually...
hardcore.
Yeah, cause, well, I usually, nobody sticks around for, like, the entire thing.
Yeah.
And I did step out during parts of Cruel Jaws, just to grab dinner and stuff. But
Cruel Jaws is mostly not good. I heard. I don't know. I don't want to say anything.
I kind of love it.
you gotta see Jaws 5. You'd get a kick out of it.
Cruel Jaws is great.
All
Yeah.
right.
It's not ironically my favorite Jaws sequel,
They have a
which is not saying a lot. I don't like really any of the Jaws.
I like
sequels.
Jaws 2 quite a bit.
Jaws 2 is okay.
Yeah.
they have a Richard Dreyfuss ripoff character called Billy,
Nice.
who is supposed to be the shark expert. Like the guy asks him, like, Billy, what do we know about sharks? And he, Billy looks like your classic 90s teen heartthrob with like glasses and like the hair, and he just goes,
They should have made him look like Richard Dreyfuss.
yeah, that's the thing. It's like, what if we made Richard Dreyfuss look like DiCaprio, and that's what you get? And he's like, well, we know that there's sort of a locomotive with a mouthful of butcher's knives. And Billy
Everyone's saying this.
Billy just keeps offering like weird, contradicting information on sharks throughout the movie. Like none of it really adds up. And Severin, when they put out Cruel Jaws, they actually did a novelization. They commissioned a novelization, and in the novel, the writer Brad Carter, like he wrote this whole subplot in where Billy isn't actually a shark expert; he just pretends to be.
Oh, that's cute. That's kind of funny.
That's a good bit.
That's because that's kind of like connecting with the audience, the cult audience.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
Yeah, I was telling Ethan about Wild Beasts.
Wild Beast is great.
It makes Roar look like an after-school safety special.
I don't know. Roar is still like a very dangerous looking film.
Sure, it's on this contained sanctuary.
Yeah.
Wild Beasts. I don't know how the fuck they made that movie. I don't know how they made it without. I don't know if people got killed on set.
No. I think the difference between those productions is that Roar was kind of like hippies, so they had no containment of the lions, and they just ran wild. Now, Italians in the early 80s didn't give a fuck about animals, so I'm sure there were many firearms on that set, and those animals weren't getting past.
There are dozens of rats that die on screen.
They shoot rats on screen.
There are other larger animals who they die on
Wild Beast is essentially like a Mondo film or a snuff film for animals. Like it's crazy.
Yeah,
I love that animal rights in Italy just didn't exist until
they're
2 years ago.
They're still not that strong.
It was also they shot it in Frankfurt, Germany, or at least part of it. I saw.
Yes, that explains them.
I saw in the credits like Rome was credited, so I don't know how much of it they did in Rome and how much they did in Frankfurt. But like the images they got,
the elephant stuff is amazing.
It on the airport. It's like, okay, I want you to, if you haven't seen Wild Beasts, I want you to picture like, remember Tenet? Like, remember that whole airplane scene where like they boasted about like crashing an airplane like on a tarmac for real, and there was this huge set piece like in an actual airport. Imagine that with elephants. For real.
Yeah.
They did that.
And for anyone who doesn't know, Wild Beast is a movie where LSD or another PCP, so a narcotic gets into the water.
The water system
of
of
zoo,
Frankfurt.
Frankfurt.
The whole city.
And the animals drink it, which drives them into a wild frenzy, which is an interesting way to get your animals to kill.
Oh yeah,
I think. And
it's a novel concept.
It's made by the Mondo guys, right? It's made by the guys.
The director who did the original Mondo Cane.
Yeah, which is an interesting connection.
It might have been one of the only non-documentaries he did, because he also did like Goodbye Uncle Tom and Africa Blood and Guts.
Yeah, which are infamous films.
Yes. Putting it lightly.
Putting it lightly, infamous films.
Wild Beasts, I would say, putting that's a film that like you say it makes Roar look an after-school safety special. That's putting it lightly. I'd say it's straight up immoral. Like.
Yeah. I don't know. I have to rewatch it. I don't remember it. I watched it pretty recently, but I don't remember it super well. The animal cruelty in it didn't strike me as bad as something like Tintorera, or even or Cannibal Holocaust.
Yeah, well, Tintorera, it's like I'd say, like animals still die in Wild Beasts, but it's also like the environment they're putting them into, where I'm like, I don't see how you can do this safely. Like letting a cheetah run like 50 miles an hour on the streets of Frankfurt,
chasing a taxi cab, right, or something. Like that?
It's a Volkswagen, because that scene. There is a scene because the animals all escape from the zoo. A cheetah is just like prowling around the streets, and it sees a woman on the side of the street like fixing her car, and the woman notices the cheetah, and she's like, "Oh shit! should get away. I have a car. And she gets in the car, starts driving.
But cheetahs can run very fast.
Very, very
Cheetah
fast.
starts sprinting after the fucking car. And you see a shot where it's like, it's taken from a car going like about 50 miles an hour through the dark streets of Rome or Frankfurt. You see a cheetah running at full speed down like cobblestone streets and pavement. And it is one of the most like, I would say it's frightening.
Yeah.
There is something frightening about seeing like zoo animals like in an urban environment like
There's
that.
no way someone didn't get like eaten on that set, right? Like, there's no way.
They send a polar bear after school children. Like,
That's so evil. It wraps back around to like being like
Bugaboo
kind of based. Yeah, to being Bugaboo Creek.
I thought that's
That's
really
Italy's
cool.
version of Bugaboo Creek. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, we need a little violence in there. No, wild beasts. Aren't there like elephants in traffic as well before they get to the airport?
yeah, but the way they do it is they kind of cut around it.
Yeah.
Where they just kind of like,
oh, that's the one they were safe on.
yeah, like
Because the
there's-
elephants could actually kill a car.
Oh yeah.
like
Oh,
there's,
but a cheetah couldn't kill. Yeah, a polar bear couldn't kill school children.
yeah, like there's definitely ways where they design the sequences where you're like, okay, when the animal's mauling somebody in this shot, it's definitely like a puppet, and like there's ways they work around like big car crashes and stunts where you're like, okay, so this all wasn't happening in the same frame, but like just the shots of the animals actually going through the streets,
Yeah.
that alone is like mind-boggling. Where it's like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a trip. Isn't there's like a tiger that kills a bunch of cops? It's like a big sequence. I may be confusing that with Mighty Peking Man, where the tiger fucks all of them up.
Well, there's one where like the tiger breaks into the subway, and a bunch of that is with puppets, where it's like they smash like a puppet head through the subway
Which
and
is
maul somebody.
wonderful.
But then you see like a shot of the tiger leaping like through a subway car, like in the dark, going after a guy. Even though it's just the animal trainer, it like
Dead.
there are images in Wild Beast that just freak me the fuck out because part of it's like a safety issue, but they're just putting things on film that shouldn't exist.
Primal fear. It's
Yes.
tapping into primal
Yes.
fear.
I would say Wild Beast, like for many reasons, it's one of the scariest films I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah.
And not in like a Cannibal Holocaust way where it's like, to me, what makes Cannibal Holocaust disturbing is like the animal cruelty they do. I'm not really freaked out by like the stuff they faked. I'm freaked out by the actual cruelty they did. Wild Beast, like there is cruelty, but yeah, the fucking like the images they put on screen, there's something about them that just like it just freaks you out.
I would say Cannibal Holocaust's cruelty is also a lot worse because I've only seen that movie once and I remember all of the cruelty because they're just literally torturing animals. They're
Yeah.
not killing animals, they're torturing them.
Yeah.
Where in Wild Beasts, it's just like I've forgotten it, probably because I went into it. This is an Italian movie from 1983 or 84. I know what I'm getting into.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say the animal cruelty in Wild Beast is just as insidious, but you'll have to watch to decide for yourself.
That's up to you, folks, the audience. You're going to have to figure that out.
They actually, the rats in that movie were actually white, so they painted them black.
Yeah, well, fuck rats.
And then they set them on fire.
Yeah, fuck rats.
Rats are beautiful animals.
Rats are fucking disgusting.
They know things about us that we don't know.
And that's why they're disgusting.
They're just like weird little guys.
I was going to say they were invasive, but I think they're actually from Germany natively, so
Yeah.
Frankfurt is.
I guess you can't really make that argument.
I liked watching them in Deadly Eyes. That's a fun movie where they dressed up like the little dogs as rats and just had them like run through these sewer sets. And there's definitely parts of those shots where you could like cut around them and be like, oh yeah, those definitely look like actual like big rats when they're like running. But sometimes they hold on those shots too long and you're like, nah, that's a dog.
I like the bigger 1940 version of that, which is the original 1 million BC. They took an elephant and they put a big furry thing on it to make it a woolly mammoth chasing Vic Mature around. That's like the best effect in like human history. It's wonderful. It's great. Yeah. No, yeah. What about you, Ethan? Have you seen any spooky movies, animal attack movies, haunted house movies, anything?
I'm gonna fucking watch the polar bear fucking mauling a bunch of school children movie after this. I can tell you that much. No, actually, last night I hit up the midnight screening of fucking Escape from New York, which because like it's funny, with like the Carpenter like series we're doing this month. I'm like, okay, there's a bunch of Carpenter movies that, and I adore that entire like stretch of movies he did in the 70s and 80s. But there's like a bunch that I've seen like a million times in theaters.
Yeah.
And then a weird amount that I've like weirdly like never seen in theaters. So I'm like,
a lot of them don't play as much.
yeah, because it's like what's it called? Like I'm like, okay, I love They Live. I don't need to prioritize They Live this month because I've seen it like 5 times in theaters, most of them in Movie House 1 at the Coolidge.
I've seen it at least twice here.
Yeah, like same as like The Thing. Love The Thing. I've seen it so many times here.
Also, The Thing needs to be watched in the winter.
Yeah,
October's
exactly.
Too early for The Thing.
Yeah, that's like the one Carpenter movie where I'm like, I can't watch this in October. Like, it needs to be like fucking cold and white outside.
Especially since like the winter has like so little to choose from for like seasonal watches that like
Really?
I mean, I guess not.
You got Silent Night, Deadly Night.
That's December specifically. The Thing is, I think, like a February,
winter
January.
Oh yeah, big time.
Like The Thing doesn't play around Christmas, bro. The Thing is the dead of winter when everyone wants to kill themselves.
I think it's a beautiful Christmas movie.
Well, it's about transformation.
But yeah, no, like Escape from New York holds up. I always kind of forget how that movie's like basically a comedy. Like I always forget how like tongue in cheek it is.
Yeah.
It has maybe the single greatest insult in movie history during the scene where Kurt Russell and Lee Van Cleef are just having a dick measuring contest. It's just them going back and forth, putting their dicks on the table, and it gets a little bit longer every time.
The Italian version of that scene was, whew.
Ooh, yeah. They show everything, man. They show everything. But there, when like Lee Van Cleef is like, just reading out like Snake's like credentials, and he goes like, "I'm about to kick your ass out of the world, Pliskin." Just the greatest insult of all time. It's fantastic.
I'd have to rewatch that. It didn't do much for me. Like
It's a cool movie.
Yeah, I'd have to rewatch it.
Secret Metal Gear film.
Yes. Not so much an October film for me.
Not so much.
Not a horror film.
Well, it's one of his non-horrors.
I stick to horror in October pretty religiously.
Same here for the most part, but I'm like, that's one of the few Carpenters It was weird because that was like probably my favorite movie when I was like 14. Okay. So I've seen it a million times, but like only on my old VHS tape. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it's really weird that I've never seen Escape from New York in a theater before. Mm. So I'm like, okay, I should prioritize this one. But like typically I'm like, nah, I like to stick to like only horror movies in October. It feels like wrong not to.
It does, yeah.
It's a good summer movie.
Great summer
Escape from New York is best enjoyed between like May and June.
Oh,
usually.
yeah.
Is it like a hot weather movie?
I feel like it is.
Yeah.
There's something about like, because they shot it in like what, Missouri?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think in like Missouri, and like,
Louis.
and Pliskin's got that like bitchin' like muscle tee tank top thing going on. I'm like, it's probably like summer in New York right now.
Yeah, it feels like a nice early summer movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Streets of Fire kind of fits that as well, I'd say.
Oh yeah,
big time, big time.
That's
Streets of Fire is like one of the best movies ever made. I fucking love
Streets
that
of Fire is fantastic. One of the best movies with one of the worst leading performances of all time. It's
love
great.
it.
I love him in it. He sucks so bad.
No,
but
I don't
he's
think
great.
I don't think he sucks. He's just a drifter. He doesn't have much to say.
Well, it's Michael Paré in that movie is so weird because I think he when he's not saying anything, you think like this is the most magnetic actor I've ever seen in my life, and then he says more than a sentence in a row.
He sounds like,
and
a
it's
robot.
like, oh wow, yeah, this guy sucks.
Well, we talked about this where Michael Paré seems like his character seems like an Eastwood archetype, but he's doing a John Wayne role, and it doesn't really mesh because like Willem Dafoe, like there's that great scene where he's like I'll be coming for her and I'll be coming for you. And it sounds like the kind of line that a good Eastwood response, like, where you get a Pliskin kind of like, yeah, sure you will. Yeah. But instead he dishes out like this John Wayne like voice where he's like, sure you will. And it's like, what is going on?
It works for me. I find it very 50s Brooklyn.
It's a very fun performance. I think he's a blast in it.
I love that movie. I love where the characters kind of end in the film. I love that final sequence when they're doing like the stage performance, but then he's with the Little Shop of Horror guys.
Rick Moranis,
and they have that great exchange because they hate each other the whole movie.
Yeah.
But then it's a good enough movie that it gives you that little moment where they chat.
Yeah.
And it's like Rick Moranis is like, she loves you, and then Michael Paré is like, but she needs you, and it's like, oh, and then the song plays, and then he's looking at her, and then
So fucking good.
he goes through the door, and it cuts to the outside of the theater. It's the best shot
Yeah.
of a theater
it's so
in
good.
film history. Oh my god, that movie! It's a wonderful film and early summer movie. Not a bad double with Escape.
Honestly, yeah. I was gonna say because
Twisted New York films.
I used
Is
to.
it Chicago? Or, wait, no. Is it Chicago
it's
or New York?
it's a random city, I think.
Yeah.
Streets
Yeah,
of
it's a
Fire.
random city, but it's like
Another time, another place.
Another time, yeah, exactly.
yeah, because the Walter Hill Carpenter double feature I used to do all the time when I was a teenager was Escape from New York and The Warriors.
Okay, that makes sense. But Warriors could Warriors actually more easily fits with Streets of Fire because it's both Walter Hill, right?
Yeah.
Oh, totally, yeah. Yeah, to the point where I remember I was always a big Hill guy, but I had a buddy growing up who could not stand Walter Hill, and I remember asking him why specifically. He's like, yeah, I don't know. Every time I've never watched a Walter Hill movie where I didn't think like, wow, this would be like so much better if John Carpenter directed it instead. And he's like said that about The Warriors specifically. I'm like, yeah, we got that. It's Escape from New York.
John Carpenter could not have directed Streets of Fire to the way it came out.
No, yeah.
No. I disagree with that statement.
Yeah, Streets of Fire. It actually, if you pick up the Steelbook Shot Factory put out, not the original release, but the new Steelbook, it has one of the greatest sound mixes I've ever heard on a system. They included the 4.1 70 millimeter mix because that original Blu-ray and like the older DVDs use this like old like 5.1 master. But if you watch it in 70, I saw it at the
I
Somerville.
saw it
Yeah,
in 70 a few months ago.
That 4.1 mix they prepared for the 70 millimeter and they have on that new Blu-ray. It fucking rocks the house. Like
Oh my
from
god.
from the opening seconds. Like if you ever want to give like a surround system a workout, put on Streets of Fire.
Oh yeah.
Streets of
Beautiful
Fire
mix.
is a movie which kind of demands to be seen in a theater. I saw it at the Somerville this year back in like May or June, and it was 70 millimeter. It looked great. It sounded incredible, and yeah, you're just there. You're just there, and it's so good in the summer when it's kind of hot because that movie's kind of got like a sweaty city vibe.
Very humid movie.
Yeah.
Very,
It's
very
because
humid.
they shot it during the day and they
Yeah.
put this giant black tarp over like all the actors so that I think they talk about it like in the documentary like that environment was so fucking like hot and stuffy because they were literally
ecosystem.
yeah they were literally just like shooting in this like hot box throughout
Yeah.
the middle of the day in the summer.
I think it's more likely because everyone in that movie is so hot that just
Oh, yeah.
putting them together on screen just
Michael
raises-
Paré is a beautiful man.
Everyone,
in that
even
movie.
even like young Rick Moranis with his hair all
He's
combed.
kind of dapper. Yeah,
he's dapper. Yeah.
He's
got-
a sharp dude.
He's got like a Dwight Fry kind of like cleaned up vibes going
Oh, yeah.
on.
Willem Dafoe in that
Is amazing.
spectacular.
I like, and also Michael Paré, because I think we were talking about this as well. Like when you talk about actors who get jacked for a role,
Yeah.
right? I think the way that's been like seen by audiences has kind of become warped over the past few years because nowadays they just put actors on steroids.
Right, yeah.
Like they literally just put actors on steroids.
What are you talking about? They always have those Instagram pictures in the gym and stuff.
Oh, yeah. No,
you
they-
could look like Chris Pratt if you just
just
ate a bunch of chicken and worked
went to
out.
Planet
There's
Fitness.
no
Don't forget the
juicing
rice.
involved. Yeah, don't forget the rice.
Yeah,
Rice
but
is good.
yeah, but like because like modern actors like the way they get jacked, that's they're using PEDs and stuff, but like Defoe and Paré in Streets of Fire, that is like what a truly jacked person looks like.
Oh yeah.
You look at them in that movie and like if it's the whole meme of like this is like the peak male performance.
Oh, yeah.
Like you may not like it, but that's their whole look in Streets of Fire.
Oh yeah.
That is like a truly jacked actor.
That's why,
they actually put in the work.
That's why Harrison Ford in Temple of Doom specifically is the most perfect a man has ever looked.
No,
Like,
absolutely. I agree with you there.
Yeah.
Especially by the end of the film when
he's got like the one sleeve ripped
Yeah,
off.
my
Like,
God, that's like who I wanted to be when I grow up.
oh, same.
I still want that, but it's not gonna happen.
Say hello to Kali.
Yeah, I rewatched Temple of Doom. Enjoyed it. It's
It's
good.
great.
Last
My
Crusade,
favorite one.
Crusade's still better, but but no, indie movies are great. But what was I gonna say? No, about the being jacked thing. I agree with that because like modern guys, they're so cut, right? But allegedly there may be some narcotics being used to help that. But also, it's like not real true strength because they're so fucking dependent on being in a gym.
Yeah.
That they can't actually go out and like do stuff with that strength because they'll just lose the muscle mass. You want to talk about real strength? Turn back the clock. Richard Burton. That man will fuck you up. That man will hurt you. He would be way more cut if there was way less alcohol in his system. But that is a dangerous cut man.
Oh, yeah.
Because a punch from him is breaking your fucking jaw.
Oh, yeah.
And he may just punch you because he doesn't have enough whiskey on hand. Like, he's unpredictable. Like The Rock, no. No, Chris Hemsworth, no. Fucking Richard Burton, that's more dangerous than wild beasts, dude.
Well, Sean Connery was originally a bodybuilder.
Oh yeah, no, like a Sean Connery, like because they don't have those like ripped abs and like well-defined stuff, but it's like, but there's just more.
That's kind of stocky, like 1900s boxer thing going on.
Because they're like actually going around like fighting and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I think Connery was in the military as well, the British military.
They were more toned than beefy. I think like people like Schwarzenegger like really set the standard of like getting as beefy as possible. And like, you know, in my personal opinion, I think Schwarzenegger, like, I believe in like the whole like Hercules gene where he was like one of those few people who was like, you know, being like that fucking beefy just came natural to him. Yeah. And everybody tried to replicate that with PEDs, but like, you know, I think, you know, when you actually try to get jacked, it's more of like a Bruce Lee thing.
Oh yeah.
It's why like an average roofer from the 70s could like beat up The Rock if he wanted to.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Robert Mitchum, man.
Oh my God.
He would kill
if you have seen if you have seen any 40s World War II picture with a young Robert Mitchum, now that is a dangerous man.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Or like even like what's that guy's name? Rod Taylor or something? I forget his name.
What was he?
Rod Stewart.
No,
are you talking about Rod Steiger? Like
no, I forgot his name.
Rod Taylor?
No, I forgot his name. I'm sorry. I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect, John.
Well, thanks for coming out.
Well,
so you got like Richard Burton, you got Connery.
Oh, I thought we were actually closing.
Oh no, that was just a bit.
No. We're gonna keep going, objectifying the male body.
Yeah, you gotta.
We're being feminists here.
Oh man, I'm not touching that one.
but I definitely think there's like this kind of the whole like image of like the jacked male actor has
the
been
Chris
like
Pratt change from like dad bod to like Jurassic World bod.
Yeah, but it's become like really distorted over the last like 30-40 years because watching Streets of Fire, that's like
everyone's so hot in that movie. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Willem Dafoe is wearing like this. It's like this. It's kind of like a
leather overall diaper.
Yeah, he's wearing this like latex overall diaper.
He looks like if like the Zodiac Killer was like a vampire. It's such a
he does
a terrifying prospect.
Very scary. Yeah, the only thing that can make the Zodiac Killer scarier is if he would suck your blood. Right?
I've always been saying
that's
this.
That's a fucking movie right there. Zodiac Killer Vampire.
Zodiac, oh God, AIP would have loved to have that one.
I'm going to do the trailer right now.
It's happening now.
Yeah. San Francisco, 1972. It happened before. It will happen again.
The world knows the murders, but now for what they covered up, the sucking of the blood.
I'm not Nosferatu, but if I was, I certainly wouldn't tell you.
Before it was his thirst for puzzles, for power. This time, his thirst is for blood.
Oh no! If this is this like 70s film, we can still get, if it's pre-Star Wars, we can get Peter Cushing to come in as like the guest star, and he's explaining everything. Have you thought that this serial killer is more than a man?
Starring Peter Cushing of Hammer Horror fame.
Yes. Oh my god! And then Christopher Lee's the Zodiac Killer.
Christopher Lee as the enigmatic Zodiac.
Mr. Cushing, would you like to solve a puzzle?
This is the Zodiac speaking.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a wonderful little fake movie right there.
If Christopher Lee was playing the Zodiac, I'd like root for the Zodiac Killer.
that
would. Oh my god.
Imagine that coming over the phone. Oh my god.
I'm taking your money and I'm going to Mexico.
No, it's deeper.
Yeah, it's oakier.
It's very
oaky.
It's almost like it's almost like I don't know, like oak and scotch and
Yeah.
and war memories and a
Yeah,
voice.
it's a type of voice you could only get if you strangled like an ex-Nazi in Argentina with piano wire, you know?
Yeah, no, there was a gap between those Hammer Dracula sequels.
Yeah.
From 1958 to 66. We don't know what was going on.
John Landis tried to find out, but Christopher Lee wouldn't tell him.
So I was talking to Christopher Lee, right?
And I said, like, yo, Chris, just one story about the war, or like about Argentina after the war.
Desmond, did I tell you the nightmare I had a few weeks ago?
No.
I had a
no,
ni-
you didn't tell me the nightmare I had a few weeks ago.
I had a nightmare that I was in Union Square and I was talking to John Landis.
Oh,
horrifying
no.
prospect.
And I was trying to get away from him, but he wouldn't. But he wouldn't stop talking about his son.
Oh, no.
And then like he kept like he kept talking about, and then like he tried bringing up American Werewolf in London. And I woke up.
Yeah.
My son Max actually has a brief cameo in my motion picture, The Stupids. You should be in prison.
No, Max, speaking of American Werewolf in London, before Max Landis, he was like writing a remake to
He was gonna do a remake of it,
which is horribly embarrassing.
horribly embarrassing. I'm like, man, you're gonna like besmirch like the one non-horrifying thing your dad did. Like,
It's
come
his
on,
best
man.
film.
It's easily his best film.
Yeah.
That being said, I am an Animal House defender.
No, Animal House is a really fun movie.
I have a great fondness for those like 70s and 80s hijinks, like college titty comedies.
Oh, no, absolutely. I would love
any movie that features like a dean who's like a real Pendle Smythe,
Oh,
you know, like
and the sense of fun in those movies. That's actually like one of my dream Midnite lineups, like
yeah.
a theme of like the teen sex comedy from like late 70s
yeah.
to the 80s. I would love that.
Oh, that'd be so
What
great.
do you have something to say,
There'd
Jonathan?
be so many disclaimers.
Yeah.
The theme of the month is extremely canceled. Because like I mean,
That would actually get people in
Yeah.
if you were like, we're
Yeah.
just gonna play canceled movies.
yeah, I mean I do think like Animal House is like if you're really like judging like the late 70s, early 80s like teen sex comedies, that is like not even close to the bottom of the barrel.
Oh,
there,
no. Yeah.
there
Not
is
even
an,
a little bit.
There
No.
is an entire
Revenge of the Nerds, man.
even below Revenge.
Yeah.
There is an entire bottom because I listened.
There's a
to,
whole subgenre, yeah.
Yeah, well, because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
listened to this podcast called 80s All Over where they went through like all of the movies from like 1980 to 1985, and like there are so many teen sex comedies that like when you hear the premise, you're like, that is a crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, My Tutor.
Yeah, like, and I'm like,
Zapped is kind of weird.
wacko.
Yeah.
The-
No,
the
some of them are actually kind of good.
Hot
Like
Dog the movie.
I haven't seen that one, but it looks pretty great.
There's
Ski
I've
School.
always
Have you
wanted-
seen Ski School?
Oh, of course I've seen
Ski School is a fucking classic.
That used to play on Skinamax when I was a teen.
That
when
was
I was
on
like
Comedy,
12,
that
like
was
all
on
the
Comedy
time.
Central. So
Oh my
much.
God.
No, but one that I really like is Private School. Like that one has a lot of nonsense in
Yeah.
it, but it has a little bit of heart. Matthew Modine really loves Phoebe Cates.
No,
It's kinda cute.
That's true. Yeah.
It's kind of cute. Yeah.
I mean, I'd say like Fast Times is one of those ones.
Well,
that's-
Fast Times isn't. It's a teen sex comedy, but it is a studio. Like it's a higher grade.
Yeah.
And Fast Times to Ridgemont High is like one of the best teen movies ever made.
I think
it's one of my favorites.
I think my favorite iteration of that subgenre is probably Robert Altman's MASH, because I like that it's basically just like a teen titty comedy, but if it just took place during the fucking war.
I guess. I think MASH has aged horribly. One of the few movies I say that about.
I like MASH, the movie. I do, and I hate to say this as an Altman head. I vastly prefer the Alan Alda TV series.
Absolutely.
Great show.
Absolutely.
Great show.
Yeah, and great first. I am a man who kind of is a purist of MASH. I only like the Trapper John episodes.
Oh, interesting. You
I'm
don't
a-
like BJ Honeycutt.
Fuck BJ Honeycutt.
It's a better comedy when it's the Trapper John seasons. I think he plays off of Alda really well, because
No.
it's. I think it becomes more of a melodrama after BJ Honeycutt comes
does.
in. Whereas like the Alan Alda of my heart is the guy who's like, hey, Trapper John and I, if you guys want to join in, we're going to go to the fat kid ward and steal all their underwear, make a catapult, and launch us into the hot girl ward
Yeah,
across the street. They're going to, man, Sergeant O'Houlihan's going to be pissed.
No,
I'm like, that's my Hawkeye.
Trapper John's fun, but also the early seasons with him, I think, work because it has a more comedy tone,
Yep.
but that makes the serious stuff hit harder.
Exactly.
Whereas it becomes pretty preachy as the show
It
goes
totally
on.
does, yeah.
And
Like the grayer Alda's hair gets,
Yes.
the less like that
deeper-
balance works.
The deeper
yeah.
you get into that, yeah, that's the dangerous for MASH.
Yeah.
But you know, it's still a great show. So.
Yeah, it's MASH.
I'm being
The
a
chicken was a baby.
little, I'm being a little nitpicky.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
it's MASH.
It was a baby.
The chicken was a baby.
Yeah, brutal movie. Yeah, that was John sneezing. Everyone, you have that recorded.
Sneeze right into the microphone, John.
Oh my god.
Thank you.
Peek it.
No, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. Speaking of Alan Alda,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I think about what would happen if Jurassic Park was made at different times. 70s, Alan Alda as Ian Malcolm.
Oh yeah.
Tom Skerritt as Dr. Grant.
Alan Alda as Ian Malcolm.
Yes.
Which I mean, you must have seen you've seen the Bill Hader sketch where he's playing Alan Alda screen testing for different movies, right? Because one of
No.
them he's screen testing for
Ian Malcolm?
no, for the poacher in Jurassic Park.
Robert Muldoon?
Yeah.
He's not a
Clever
poacher.
girl. Oh,
He's
right,
a
he's not a
game
poacher.
warden.
The game
the
warden would
game
have
warden.
been in 1970s Jurassic Park. Game warden would have been Yaphet Kotto.
Oh my god! Well, I'm thinking Yaphet Kotto just slips right into the Sam Jackson part and is just yelling at computers.
My dream 70s Alan Alda fan casting is, and I say this as a major Bronson head, cast him as Paul Kersey in Death Note. That's like, oh, did I say Death Note? Jesus Christ. Yeah. Have him like he summons the Shinigami, like, oh yeah, Shinigami, eh? That's something else. Hey, if you want to help me, we're gonna go to the Fat Kid Ward across it.
Do you mean the?
Bronson would be the
in
G-Man.
Death Wish,
Do
yeah.
you mean the classic film Death Wish?
The classic film Death Wish. I think because Death Wish is great. Bronson's great. Does not work as Paul Kersey at all. It works as a great Bronson movie, but it's
Believing Charles Bronson's character was a conscientious
Just
objector
objective.
to the Korean War.
you were a volunteer. You were a Green Beret.
Such a bleeding heart liberal, Paul.
yeah.
But it's Alan Alda instead. I'm like, oh yeah, that's like that turns it into like an Oscar-worthy movie.
Turns
like
into a different film.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to say it was like someone like Sidney Pollack or somebody was gonna do it with Jack Lemmon as Paul Kersey.
That would
would've
be
been
very
good.
interesting.
that would have been good casting.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lemon would have been a good Kersey.
Another what if casting is that I'm really been interested in, like been in my head, is the one you told me about Elvis in Star is Born.
Oh my God, yeah.
That
Which
would have been incredible.
the 70s Star is Born is a terrible movie, but man, that would have been a hell of a performance.
God, yeah. And maybe would have made the movie
Oh, yeah.
good. Who knows?
No, it probably wouldn't. Like,
Watch closely now.
Yeah. I really like that Elvis movie. Did you see it, John?
I've not seen it yet.
Oh my god.
it's spectacular. And
No,
I am usually a Lerman denier, but he has earned a free pass for life for giving us Elvis.
I've walked in on like Jack and you watching it multiple times, like Jack, Chris, and you, and
Oh
it's
my
like,
God.
yeah, the whole design of each sequence is so like mind-boggling, and like how much they're able to pack into the frame.
It's so great. It perfectly simulates a Tylenol overdose. It's such a great movie.
The Memphis Mafia kind of montage thing. That shit was amazing.
All right, now we're gonna send in the kung fu dancers. Kung fu. Like,
No, yeah,
it's so good.
Lerman, I'm a bit of a Lerman apologist, I think. 'cause
Oh, okay.
I love Romeo plus Juliet.
That one's great. That's one of the ones I like.
I fucking love that.
That rules.
I kind of.
It's such a good movie.
Yeah, I fucking love that shit.
Oh yeah.
When
I do not care for Moulin Rouge.
I haven't seen it. I have
yeah.
no interest in seeing it, so
Yeah,
I'm just
it's
gonna pass it.
not my thing.
I remember Young Des,
Mm-hmm.
Young Me, in like 6th grade. We did like Romeo and Juliet, and we watched that movie.
Oh yeah,
It changed my fucking life. I
like,
legit-
yo, they put guns in Shakespeare.
I just thought it was so cool, and I even dressed up with like a Hawaiian shirt, or like I don't know what shirt I found. I found some button shirt.
Yeah.
And I wore that open and put a toy gun holster under it, and I was like, yeah, I'm
God.
cool.
That is a great movie with a terrible Leo performance in it. He is
yeah.
so bad in it.
Did I tell you about my first time watching that movie?
I don't think so.
So when I was in freshman AP Lit, our teacher showed us the 60s Romeo and Juliet.
Which is good too.
Yeah, no, I do like that. And then showed us the Baz Luhrmann one. And there were a bunch of people in my class who were like diehard like Shakespeare, fans, and they're teens and stuff. And
High school?
yeah, no,
Oh, yeah. I was a big Shakespeare head in high school.
you definitely get those people who like, they will quote Shakespeare.
It's all
and,
the honors English lit kids. Yeah.
So the movie starts, right? And there's the whole gas station scene. There's a bit where they're like, "Draw your sword," and they just take out this like silver pistol that has like a cutlass like a cutlass symbol engraved in the side. I just start cracking up in the classroom like. When the gas station blows up, I am laughing my ass off, and everybody is just like hands in their head, like angry that they would dare. They would dare
the bard.
I would be one of those kids because I genuinely love that scene, and it's not a cutlass; it says sword 9mm.
Yes,
Sword 9mm.
Which is wonderful because it's like that's the marketing for it. It's like I love how there are billboards of just bullets and shit.
My favorite moment in the movie is when Paul Sorvino goes like, "Fetch me my longsword," and grabs a shotgun.
Yes, no, I love it, and I remember. I went to school, a private school, where everyone's apathetic as fuck. So no one cared about anything. So we didn't have anyone who was into like Shakespeare. It's fucking, it's fucking alien talk to me. They were all.
You didn't have any bard heads in your school.
No, they weren't interested in anything.
Yeah,
they're from the fucking suburbs. And
right,
rich as
of course.
Fuck.
Yeah.
But I remember our like project in middle school was this was later. I took like Romeo and Juliet in 6th grade elementary school, and then like later in 8th grade or something. I don't remember. But 8th grade.
Yeah.
Different school. The project was you had to adapt your own version of Romeo and Juliet, and a lot of people did like just like
we did that in my freshman year of high school.
Nice. But a lot of people did like Bloods and Crips, which was like okay.
Yeah.
But I was like, and I still think it's a great idea. Romeo and Juliet as a spaghetti western.
Oh, that's a good one.
Leone spaghetti western.
Oh yeah.
and change a few things. Let's just say these kids aren't dying by suicide. They're going out guns blazing, Sundance, Butch Cassidy style.
Hell yeah.
But yeah.
Romeo and Juliet, starring Raquel Welch and Burt Reynolds.
Yes. No. We have to change. I would change the title. I didn't think of this in middle school, but now I'm like the title's got to be Romeo and Juliet Pray for a Quick Death. That's the way we'd have to go. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. Who would direct that? Would it be
Sergio Leone?
Would it be Sergio Leone?
No, Sergio Corbucci.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a Corbucci
That's
picture.
a Corbucci picture. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. The other Sergio, the equally great Sergio.
Yes.
But
Fucking Corbucci.
Corbucci's great.
Yeah.
Drinking my favorite spaghetti western of all time.
What's that?
Great Silence.
The Great Silence.
Yeah.
We were talking about The Great Silence.
Yeah.
The Great Silence is the most nihilistic film I've ever seen.
Oh my god.
It's so depressing.
So the Capulets and Montagues in the Romeo and Juliet thing, would it be, I'd say Franco Nero and like Lee Van Cleef or something?
I don't know.
Klaus Kinski is the apothecary?
No, Klaus Kinski is not setting any foot near a production of mine. That fucking creep. I am actually an advocate for the star of Beneath the Planet of the Apes, the star of The Great Valley of Gwangi. I think we pull out a James Franciscus.
Oh.
I think we pull out a James Franciscus.
The gentleman's
here.
choice.
Yes, the gentleman's choice. No, I love James Franciscus. And I don't know where I'd put him, but he's going to be in the picture, John.
Yeah.
Oh, you know who's Romeo?
Yeah.
If we're setting this in like the 60s, we're making it. Ricky Nelson.
Ooh. Yeah, that'd be good.
Ricky Nelson. And James Franciscus could maybe be a Tybalt.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
He'd be
All these people are dead, but the picture's coming together.
Right,
If it was a spaghetti western, they'd try to get it out the same year as the actual Romeo and Juliet from
68.
68. So
Yeah.
it would be like
Ricky Nelson was in decline by that point, so I think we could get
It would totally work, yeah. It would be that'd be nice too. It's like oh yeah, he was in Rio Bravo, and then here's his like spaghetti western when his career was kind of in decline. Yeah.
it'd be they'd have like a weird like I don't know, Fred Williamson would be Romeo.
Yeah.
Starring Fred Williams, and like Juliet lives at the end because Fred Williamson has it in his contract that he gets the girl at the end.
Sure,
so
sure. There you go.
it'd be this weird thing of like, oh yeah, did you know in the spaghetti western Romeo and Juliet they actually both live?
Yeah. Well, no, in mine they'd go out shooting in a blaze of glory. But The
Yeah.
Great
Right.
Silence is a pretty great film. And it's,
God.
like I said, it's horribly nihilistic. And
Oh yeah, it's the
incredibly
bleakest spaghetti western ever made.
bleak and just full of dread and
Oh, yeah.
depression. And, like, you think it's going to have an ending of some sort, and
No.
no, it just all falls apart without spoiling it.
Yeah.
You'll still be surprised. A great late West, too. Like,
Oh,
like
yeah.
end of the West kind of
Oh
thing.
yeah. The decline of the West, because it's like what is it, like 1898?
I don't know if it has a specific year, but it has the feeling of that and the
Yeah.
vibe of that. So, like, hey, if you like Red Dead Redemption, kids, Great Silence.
Check out The Great Silence.
Wild Bunch is great, but check out The Great Silence too. Yeah.
Yeah. What other winter western? Because you got like Cutthroat's 9.
That's a pretty good movie.
Yeah, it's like it's the rare horror western. You don't
Yeah.
see too many of those.
Yeah.
There are around, but I
Yeah,
know Arrow put
McCabe-
out
What?
Arrow put out that set with has spaghetti westerns that lean into horror.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any of them yet.
Yeah, you
High
got
Plains Drifter, I would argue, definitely a horror.
I have to see that.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
great
wanna
movie.
I want to see that. So
You
bad.
One of
gotta-
Eastwood's best as
Yeah.
a director. It's very good.
McCabe Miss Miller's a winter western, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Oh, Pale Rider.
Yeah.
Pale Rider.
Ooh, yeah.
Pale Rider. I feel like there's an obvious one that I'm just like missing.
Do you think Django counts as winter western for that little bit? Like Hateful Eight, obviously, but
No, Django is just steeped in the South.
yeah.
Yeah, that is a humid movie.
Yeah,
Talk about
And I love
talk about
Django.
muggy.
Well, there's that whole first half where they're in like,
Yeah,
Like
no,
the
they're in that
Rockies.
like it's like called Germantown or something.
well,
like,
they're in like kind of the Rockies, right?
Yeah, they're in the Rockies.
Yeah, but I would say it's like geographic. I mean, you could, but to me, you know what? Actually, that does work as a December film because it released in December.
Yeah.
It gets a pass, John.
No,
it
absolutely.
gets a pass. It
Yeah,
gets a pass.
What other winter westerns like?
My brain.
Because when you actually start thinking about it, you're like, oh yeah, there's actually a ton of these, but
Right, yeah.
I haven't really.
Gotta be that asshole that says The Thing.
Oh man,
Bro, you heard of the thing, bro?
bro,
Bro,
the thing is
you
such a
heard the
good fucking horror.
You know, did you know that that most of John Carpenter's movies are stealth remakes of Rio Bravo? Did you know this?
Bro, did you know that Suspiria was the first horror movie to use color?
Bro, the thing came out the same hour as E.T. and Blade Runner, and it flopped because people wanted friendly alien.
And people weren't ready for it. Not because Universal dumped it because they want to get rid of John Carpenter's contract. It's because it was too hardcore.
People just were ready for it, man. They totally were ready for it.
Spielberg put the hit out on him.
Yeah. Speaking of John Carpenter getting kicked out by Universal because they were sick of him, he made Christine after
He
the
did.
thing. And the
One of his best movies.
Christine's,
Top 3.
Christine's great. I'm very excited to see Christine. on
My
big
favorite
time.
King adaptation. It's
Yeah,
spectacular.
no, I think Christine is wonderful and kind of underseen, under talked about.
Under talked about. I think it's been slowly kind of getting re-examined the last couple of years. I think
Yeah.
people have slowly kind of been like, yeah, no, this is like top tier Carpenter.
And that Sony 4K has helped in that because
Yeah.
the 4K that Sony put out is incredible.
Well, because it was only on Twilight Time for a while, and it kind of was under the radar. But yeah, then Sony put out an actual edition of it, and it came to 4K, and it's
incredible
so good.
transfer.
Yeah, those reds really pop, man.
On that fire, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I also love how it has the greaser still surviving into the 80s.
Yeah.
The niche greaser, which I've heard was a thing back in the day.
It was a thing.
Yeah,
It was.
Grease-
There was a big rockabilly revival in the 80s.
Yeah, probably because of Grease kind of helped
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
As well as honestly in the 80s, being a greaser was counterculture.
And it's like nostalgia has kind of works on like a 30-year curve. There was a big level of 50s nostalgia throughout the 80s.
Oh,
it's kind of like how
That's
the
what
2010s had
Christine's
so much.
about.
yeah, Christine's touching on that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's why like the 2010s had like a huge like 80s nostalgia boom throughout
But
that
the
decade.
80s is weird because there was also like a boom of 80s nostalgia in the 2000s.
Yeah, it's really
still
weird.
going now. It's I feel like it's just maybe not going to end.
I think it's like
Any sort of nostalgia for a period in the 20th century, I think. It's going to be sort of like I've read about like how in the 60s or 50s like nostalgia just for the late like the 1890s was big or the 1880s was big and like I feel like I don't know, maybe we're going to get something like that where just anything from the last 30 years of the last century is going to be like hot.
Oh yeah.
Just wait until they start doing nostalgia for the 2000s.
Oh, I'm ready for that because that's our generation.
And it's beginning to bubble up a little bit. I've been seeing a lot of bootcut jeans returning. You know, I've been. My Chemical Romance is back.
Oh my god, I cannot wait for like
Their new song's really good.
I can't wait for like all those like angsty teen pop songs that
Oh,
I
yeah.
love to like get
Emo's
reappraised.
gonna make a comeback.
No, not emo. I'm talking pre-emo. I'm talking like Stacey's
yeah, but-
Mom. I'm talking like 1985.
Oh, you're talking about like Fountains of Wayne.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the song that played at the beginning of every 2000s teen movie.
Yeah, like Sink to the Bottom. And
When
like,
when everyone's like driving to school and
Yeah,
shit,
yeah.
like getting out and like meeting their friends or pulling a
Fucking-
prank.
Yeah, fucking like Jimmy Eat World.
Jimmy
like,
Eat
yeah.
World, yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's the highest level of angst.
Oh, absolutely.
The teen angst in that is just like my mom hates me and nobody gets me. Like it's just like
That's like Bright Eyes level teen
it's almost
angst,
like
yeah.
parody.
Yeah.
Like Jimmy Eat World is almost parody. But I'm waiting for that because I like that.
Oh,
I know
yeah.
one other person who likes that.
Who's the other?
Somebody I talked
Oh.
about through work.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's
I'm on that iceberg, that island out there.
Oh, yeah,
So,
I don't know. Like
unless
that-
you guys like it. Oh.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no. I was a big pop punk kid. Yeah.
Yeah,
90s nostalgia.
I'm like a pop punk adult though. That's kind of a little dangerous.
Well, yeah. I mean, you never quit.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, like come on. Like,
Mad Men, you don't quit heroin, Don.
I never jumped off the MCR train. Come on.
Yeah.
Like,
You
not one of
know,
those pretenders, those fair weather fans. Like, come
Yeah. Die Hard. No, but emo. I don't think that'll make a comeback anytime soon.
I feel like it will, but like I think we were talking about this.
there's been a bit of like a third wave emo revival for the past couple of years.
What's
Definitely.
first and second wave emo then?
So I could be
Grunge?
describing this terribly. No, so first,
No man, grunge was real.
so like first wave emo. Yeah, grunge was fucking real, man.
Okay.
I might be mixing this up a bit, or I might be mixing it up with ska. There might have been only two waves for. Yeah, actually, there's
Holy
two waves
fuck,
for emo.
ska. Oh my god.
But so yeah, like the first wave of emo in like the 90s is very different. It's a lot more in common with kind of like indie rock. It was mostly bands out of the Midwest, very like atmospheric, like rhythmic guitar, like that first American football record from the late 90s. That's like a classic Midwestern emo album.
Okay.
And then yeah, like second wave emo was kind of like the pop punk emo from
like,
the 2000s.
late 2000s.
Yeah, where it's like oh, like My Chemical Romance and that first like Panic at the Disco record, that last Blink-182 record.
The black hair and the
Yeah, and like the striped shirts and the skinny like hoodies and
then
stuff like that, and the Converse.
Twilight era, basically.
Yeah. And then like
303 for all the poser emos.
yeah, and then like third wave emo was like kind of a return to like that original Midwestern emo where it's like a lot of indie bands from like the mid 2010s, like kind of
Hey, and we were all born in the mid 90s, so we missed most of this, but we're telling you what it was like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so
Like I was there, man.
I was there, I was like 12, but like I saw it. I saw the South Park episode about it. Come on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we were there for the second wave, at least. I think.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
like
we
we
were
were very solidly there for that.
We were like infants
yeah.
during the first wave, if born at all. But
like the first wave was like, oh, I got into late as a teenager when I was entering my indie kid phase. Like that was that's like the same period where like you get into like those first three Modest Mouse records, like, but like no, second wave, I was there, man.
yeah, well, I've loved this is like a Coolidge corner theater history thing. Is that when I first came to the midnight showings at the Coolidge, and you guys experienced this as well. Back when we were like 19 to 21ish.
Yeah.
The whole audience would always be like punk rock kind of types with jean jackets and patches.
A lot of buttons, a lot of patches.
A lot of jean and a lot of leather, a lot of boots. It was like that crowd, and that was just the mainstay of the audience. And that was like 2014, 2015, lasted into 2016, and then they died out like the fucking dinosaurs.
I think the last of them are on like an enclosure in Yosemite.
Yeah, I've been really glad that we have seen a couple of
They've
them.
been coming back.
We've seen a few come back.
It's like when the Coyotes started like edging into Los Angeles, like
it's really cool to see them because they're always like kind of like, I guess at this point they're like mid to late 30s, if not in their 40s, but like, and it's the same age group, so it's like the same crowd, so it's like very nice to see them, and they have that like, I don't know, they have that smell of leather and jean and denim and like, enamel pins. Like you just in
A
like
lot of enamel.
yeah, yeah. It's just it's that combo. It just has like this smell, and it's like, oh my god, it's 2015 in here. What's going on? Yeah. So that's my memory of going to the Midnight movies here. Yeah. Wow. I think that's our natural conclusion there.
Yeah,
I believe
think
it
so.
is.
All right. Well, that has been another episode of the After Midnight podcast.
Vote for Reagan.
Thank you very much.